Cause money rule the world, but Mr. D1 I grew up from it. So my pops get killed in from it. So my mama do dope in from it. Felt like ain't nobody love me. Uniform dirty, dressing bumming. Went to school, they called me ugly. Called the bus, they used to jump me. God, I just pray till you Sunday. Now it's Monday, I'm starving. Sip sour milk out the carton. Talk to myself while I'm walking. Should I put myself in the coffin? I don't know. All I grew up with is trouble. Ain't no role models. I knew the struggle.
Dear Mr. Christian, I know you're on a mission. I know you say the answer to my problem is religion. I know I'm supposed to change the way I live and stop sinning, but I'd appreciate it if you take some time to listen. Dear Mr. Christian, I know you're on a mission. I know you say the answer to my problem is religion. I know I'm supposed to change the way I live and stop sinning, but I'd appreciate it if you take some time to listen. Dear Mr. Christian.
Excuse me, I don't quite understand you. Propaganda and banter and all of this empty chatter. And amidst these amens, hallelujahs and shucking jiving, I see a lot of hypocrites and hyper criticizing. Mr. LaCrae, my mama sold me up the river for some rocks, and daddy told me I was nothing but a problem. Now here you come telling me I'm a low down dirty sinner, and you got the nerve to wonder why I'm in these streets robbing. Well, gon' get back, man, and gon' get back, man. I don't need to be judged by you and all of your whack friends. Ain't gluttony a sin while you staring at my gin. Where I'm from, we don't pretend. We know we ain't getting in. Now the world don't trust me, and these streets done crush me. Thought you were known for love, but you just love to judge me. Truth is, ironically, you need me around though, cause otherwise you got nobody else to look down on.
Dear Mr. Christian, I know you're on a mission. I know you say the answer to my problem is religion. I know I'm supposed to change the way I live and stop sinning, but I'd appreciate it if you take some time to listen. Dear Mr. Christian, I know you're on a mission. I know you say the answer to my problem is religion. I know I'm supposed to change the way I live and stop sinning, but I'd appreciate it if you take some time to listen. Dear Mr. Christian.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Underground Flavors. It's Saturday morning, is in the house. We got a full audience here this morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Y'all know y'all gotta get, woo! If you in the audience, step in front of these mics and make sure we can hear you. Definitely talking to the microphone. And good morning to everyone who has zoomed in. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
So I will start with the farthest that has zoomed in, and I'm gonna let everyone introduce themselves after Mr. Brian Turner, because he is the farthest. He is coming in from the Bay Area, so he had to get up early this morning. CEO of Mary's Watch. And then after that, please, Mr. Matt Turner, local STL attorney. We have also Miss Honeycutt has joined us, and we have Phoenix Business Solution. So for everyone who is zoomed in, please introduce yourself first, starting with the farthest, and then we'll jump into everybody who's in the audience present. Mr. Turner.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks so much for having us, Flavors. I really appreciate being here and being on this esteemed panel today. You're correct. We are in the Bay Area. Really happy to be here. My name is Brian Turner. I am founder and CEO and CTO of Mary's Watch, maryswatch.com. And what Mary's Watch does is we're the definitive housing resource online. So if you go to our site, which is just maryswatch.com, and take a look, you can log on, or you can just check out what's on the homepage and see what's going on in housing at any moment in time.
Thank you for that introduction. Mr. Cook? Good morning, Mr. Cook. All right. Miss Dilworth, good morning.
Good morning, my lady, my favorite person. My name is Carolyn Dilworth, and this is my first time participating in such an activity, and I really appreciate you, Raina, and what you're doing in the community. My company name is Phoenix Business Solutions, LLC. We provide financial services such as bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, and tax preparation. Naturally, I'm getting ready to go into my tax season, so I'll be really, really busy. But if I were to describe what I can do for people, especially like your clientele or the people in this meeting, if anyone is considering a business or have a business and the infrastructure, financial infrastructure, I will be a good resource for you, especially in terms of preparing financial statements and preparing tax returns. Thank you again for allowing me to join you guys.
Thank you for zooming in on us. I love, and that's my girl right there. We rocks. I'm gonna see her later on. We're gonna do a follow up after this. Let's see. Miss Honeycutt. Miss Honeycutt.
Hello.
Hello, beautiful. There you
Hey.
are. Chantel, there's that fire hair. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're on this panel today.
My name is Sade Honeycutt. I was invited on the show to kind of tune in, to listen, and I guess also tell my concerns and certain things that I'm going through.
Absolutely. And the things that you've gone through has absolutely hurt you in the past and ended up on your credit report, correct?
Correct.
So we know that going through something as housing and dealing with a property that might not be or is not up to a standard, ain't no might. And then it trickles into something that affects you for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So what we're talking about here on Underground Flavors, as always, is real life, real life. And so hopefully we have, and I know Attorney Matt Cook has joined us, so hopefully we still have him to talk about, because that's what he does, is removing this off of credit reports. So, Mr. Matt Cook? I think we've lost him, so hopefully we'll get him back. All right, so for all the people here in the house, Mr. Chris Collins.
Good morning.
Come
Very
on up
nice
to the microphone. Let us all hear that voice echo through. We know you being heard out there in YouTube land.
No problem. I'll lean up here and get into it a little bit. Thank you for having us this morning. I'm very pleasured to be here and talk about these real problems and maybe put some solutions and get them started. Get everybody sparked up on something.
I mean, you better talk about hope and what you do.
Oh, I will.
Well, that's your introduction. Tell them about Hope.
Hope is my organization. It's housing our people everywhere. And the goal is to build frames, utilize all of the construction companies throughout all of your communities to do everything else. But let's teach people to build frames, build their own home, have some pride, and, give them opportunities for jobs that aren't out there. We're not asking them to go to McDonald's. We're saying, hey, come over here. Let's get it. Let's build something. Let's make our community safe, but engage our children every day. That would be a wonderful thing.
And get the homeless someplace to live. Mr. Noah.
Hello. I'm Noah Wan. I'm here trying to spread the good word on the good foot to the good people and to the people that don't know. We're trying to wake you up so you do know. Welcome to the show. I'm humbled and honored to be here, like he said earlier, an esteemed panel. I can't wait for this great conversation with all these great people and faces I am looking at. And with that, I will pass it on to my left.
Mr. Jamal Ingram.
He's on his list.
Right.
He's left out.
I love you. Thank you, Justin.
I've been here a couple of times. I'm from St. Louis. I run and head Blue Vega International, which is a clothing line.
Come on up to the microphone a little bit. Let me hear that
I
echo.
also run Slicktown Records and Slick Face Productions, as well as Tyson Breed Legacy Publishing. Among some other things I done threw my hand in, I do a lot, from plumbing, tattoos, cooking. We do a lot. The biggest thing I can tell y'all is everything I do is to give back to family and community, That's what we strive about: love, life, loyalty. Uh, I'm looking forward towards this new year. I'm ready for this year to be over with. Everybody's facing hardships on one hand or another, and I guess that's been my motivation to keep building. That way, next year, if we all blessed to still be here, that we have some things that's already set in place. Like starting January 1st, I have an event that's gonna basically, to me, change events as it is known. We'll talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it.
But it's an upscale formal event, so, and it's free. Everything is free. Y'all just gotta show up and show out. It's just that simple. And we'll talk more about it.
We'll talk more about it because I'm sure we're gonna be a part of that, right? Yes, yes, yes.
Test.
Is that Mr. Matt Cook? Mr. Attorney Matt Cook?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I had to have someone help me, but I'm on a headset, so I apologize for that earlier.
You know what? No apologies. We all getting it together. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Matt Cook. I'm an attorney in the St. Louis area for Missouri and Illinois side. And then my practice revolves around the litigation against the credit bureaus and credit furnishers and collection agencies. There's some laws that regulate them, and basically what I do is sue them to get negative information removed so people can have their credit increased to get whatever financing or housing, etc., that they need.
And so you have already been introduced to a person in Springfield that definitely, couldn't get housing because something ended up on a tenant screening application prior to an eviction even being held.
Right.
And that person is a model for people who are affected that way. And everyone here, in every story that you'll hear, Miss Honeycutt, I will be helping her pull her record. Everyone has a story here of going through something horrendous with a property owner, and it ended up being on their credit report, and it's haunting them for the rest of their lives. So you are rare as an attorney that even fight these companies in the way that you do without asking the $29.99 and $19.99 a month. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody has ever done
Yes,
that?
I do. Yes, we do.
Thank you. I was finna say, I guess ain't nobody did their credit report, honey, because Lexington Credit tore me up to not get nowhere. So, sorry, let me finish introduction. Sorry. Go ahead and tell us who you are, young man. Come up to the microphone. That's all right. Boom, drum roll.
My name is Chris Smith, and I'm kind of, I guess, I'm part of some of the projects Jamal's got going, and we work together a lot. I'm really kind of a advocate for youth sports and really youth tennis in general. I kind of played tennis at Central Missouri State. I've been kind of part of the game for about almost 40 plus years. I started when I was 2, by the way. But yeah, so that's the kind of thing I like to try to give back to the community, is teach them life through the game, because that's kind of how I grew up, and I think it's served me well in my life as a plumber and as a coach and advocate, and all the things I do with youth in the community.
It's important to have everybody on every level, from every experience and every walk of life, to be a part of this panel. Please believe that. And we have the last, Miss Chantel Davis. Just say hello. She don't even want to say hi.
I was serious.
So I just want to say thank you for her assistance as far as helping with the camera operations. So as we get into this conversation, I want to thank everyone for being a part of this Saturday morning. I want to turn it over to Miss Honeycutt real quick. Miss Honeycutt,
Yes,
in your experience of having things on your credit report, if you simply had items removed, would that change your life?
absolutely.
Can you tell the audience in what ways having something simply removed off your credit report, how would that change your life?
It will open doors for me to be able to, as far as housing, as far as business wise, there's everything, the whole circle.
You can apply for loans. What are the things you
Exactly.
can't do right now because things are on your credit report?
Apply for loans, apply for housing. Um,
And right now you're paying how much in rent?
875.
And what are the problems you're going through for $875 a month?
The AC unit doesn't work. I have feces coming through my basement floor every time I flush the toilet. I have mold in my stand-up shower. I have a hole in my attic. I have a hole due to water in my daughter's room. My refrigerator at the bottom isn't working.
And that's been going on for how long?
About 3 months.
About three
The
months.
refrigerator since about March.
Anyone on this panel have any experience such as Miss Honeycutt?
I mean, I've lived in some rundown places, you know, and it's really, it's a shame, especially when I'm sure she's going through the same problem as the people who, whether you're renting it from the landlords, these people think they can just get one over. Oh, I'll be there, and it's a simple fix. It's like putting duct tape on a leaky pipe. It just keeps coming out the duct tape, and it's like, okay, well, you didn't fix it. Well, it's not my problem. You live there. You know, you're on record. Here, sign the paper.
Oh, you
know?
did sign the paper
Yeah,
when
that's
you
what I'm
first moved
saying.
in.
So you're like, you know, you're kind of stuck to it, and then when you have a problem with, like, I have zero credit, so that's worse than having no credit, you know, or bad credit, you know, having zero credit. I was like, well, I don't owe anybody any money. They're like, that's a problem. I was like, really? I was like, come on, man. Wait. They're like, if you owed somebody $100,000, we'll give you a $100,000 loan right now. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, I'm a free man. Lock me up. Put me in this dead slavery. Like, come on, man. And, you know, it's just, it's a travesty system that's, like she said, it's ever circular, and it would break the chain, you know, to be able to fix that credit.
And
you
Mr.
know?
Turner, you created a platform dedicated to housing. Are you familiar with situations like this?
Only too familiar. And as I listen to her, you know, it takes me back. This platform came together because I had a background in housing, not only as a, you know, someone that has to live in housing, but also as a service provider. I was a realtor and broker for many years in the city of Chicago, actually. And have worked as a property manager as well. And I came into a property once where a renter was having very much the same problem as you, actually having the sewer back up into their home, not having anyone to come and take care of it, and having sewer water literally almost a foot of it in their home. And they sat like that for more than 30 days. Okay, before I was brought into the situation. And you know what it took to fix that problem? I think less than $300 to fix their problem. And it sat there for 30 days. Now, the problem is that the property owner actually didn't know. He'd hired a property manager. The property manager had fired a manager, or he quit. And the owner of that property management company just didn't have anybody else or put anybody else on that property. So they just sat in that situation with sewer water, much like you said, feces and water coming up into your place for over a month. And, you know, the sad part is we can't get attorneys involved It's hard for renters to get attorneys involved early. They don't get involved until the problem's already established. And it's, what Mary's Watch was really built to do is help you guys document these situations so that you can, down the line, when it's time to go to court or sit in front of a Matt Cook or somebody else that can help you in that situation, you have all of the documentation, photos, videos, and all of your requests for service, and those requests being unanswered. You have all of those dated, timestamped, that you can provide to the other people who want to help you, so that they can get something done for you. And if you can, our goal is to get enough people on there and to show just how widespread a problem this can be. That's what our goal is at Mary's Watch, is to get enough people on the platform, showing what's going on to them, documenting what's going on to them, and discussing it amongst themselves the way Raina's been doing on the platform, really highlighting a lot of what's going on, so that we can start to show it to people who need to see it. That's my comment. I'm really sorry for what you're going through.
Miss Honeycutt, go ahead, speak to him.
Well, in my situation, it wasn't a property manager. I have notified the landlord several times about the situation. He sent out a plumber, waited 30 more days, and I still had not heard anything. It's just like, he says he's not a slumlord, but to me, he's a slumlord. And I'm on disability, and I paid $8.75 for rent. So he knows that. And sometimes I don't understand, like, I have kids, and with the refrigerator not working at the bottom, they don't know what cereal and milk is together. They just know what just a bowl of cereal is. And then I know he has kids too. But it's like, if you're going to be a realtor, why get in a game and you're going to do people or tenants like that? That's one of the things that kind of messes me up every night.
If I could bring out one more point that's a point of concern. The mold that you spoke of in your shower, that could become really serious and a serious health issue to you and your family. So, that's something that you really want to have addressed right away, no matter what you have to do it. And you can use your rent money to address these issues, and just send him a receipt. Make sure he knows, that because you've already sent the request for service, you can pay for it and take it out of your rent money. And I'm certain it's legal.
All right, so as a tenant's advocate, I want to interject right there. Unless the laws have changed, tenants in Missouri can only deduct up to a third or up to $300 annually. Annually. Unless the law has changed, that's what it was. Second point. In Missouri, we just had a case, I'm going to throw in real quick, of a lady in Fenton who had her door taken off. In a few days after being on Fox 2 News, they ended up doing a GoFundMe or whatever. And they ended up raising so much money that it ended up buying this woman a car, paying the back rent, and she said she still had money to do extra things. Now, let this sink in the state of Missouri. This is on Fox 2 News, so everybody knew. And they literally paid the landlord who removed the door from a woman and child in winter. They rallied the money up and paid the landlord. That's the mentality in Missouri. You don't hear about going to jail. You don't hear about fines. You don't even hear anybody upset. You hear that he got paid after taking the tenant's door off. Let that sink in. Any thoughts from anybody? A lot of silence. Come on.
I mean, it do leave you speechless that you do have idiots out here that still have that type of mentality. I really can't speak from that point of view because I've been blessed not to be put through situations like that. I have lived in very messed up situations, but being that I had parents that wouldn't settle for less, we made the best out of that, and of course we ended up in something better. But it's like,
And I get it.
I hate to say this, but this is my mind frame. Instead of everybody keep accepting the stuff that, you know, society throw at you, it's like there's a way to find a way to get out of any situation you put in. You don't have to stay there. And it's like,
That's right.
to me, that's like our problem. We feel like we have to stay in situations and we don't have no way out. Yes, you do. Every day you wake up, you breathing, you got a way
Right.
out. You got a mindset to do something different.
And you're right, and you're talking about the physical, but I'm gonna go right back to what this show is about. We talking about credit repair. That once these cases go to court and get a court judgment and hit your credit report, anything you want to do through that avenue, you have no resources and you have no options, and that, baby, is poverty.
But that's, I think, to his point, you know, it has to run its course to get to that point, right? You know, you have to be in that situation for a long term, let it go to a point where you're not, you know, either you're not paying rent at all, or something occurred that causes that, you know, that court action. And what he's suggesting, I think, is get out earlier than that. Like, you don't have to stay there. And if you're willing to pay $875 or whatever it is, somebody else who will treat you better will take that $875.
Right, exactly.
Now,
Yeah, someone else will take that $875, but what do you do when you already have an eviction on your credit? A lot of these landlords don't want to allow you to move in with with an eviction on your credit already.
What I mean,
So just imagine if I have an eviction,
just
and I'm
look at it
living
like
in the
this.
situation that I'm in, how do you get out of that situation? Live on
Absolutely.
the street with your 4 kids?
Nope. Not every landlord is going to turn you down because you have an eviction on your credit. And when you explain your situation to human beings, to real people, they'll listen to you. Okay. I've again been in real estate a long time, and not, you know, if you go to these larger property managers or these larger property owners, some of them may not want to hear it. But many times people are in a financially comfortable enough situation that they can take the risk of you in your situation. And understanding what you're telling them, and maybe even having some, you know, like I said, what we provide is some documentation, and we provide some credibility. So being able to go back and say, listen, this is everything that I've gone through, and this is what I did to get, you know, to try and mitigate that situation, or this is what I'm willing to do in the future to try to change my situation. People will help you. People will help you. Don't give up on it.
I want to throw this in right here that I think is really being pressed upon as a simple understanding. Not everybody knows how to articulate what they're going through. And I think right now we are under this understanding that everybody can speak for themselves. Miss Honeycutt, you were going through this situation for 3 months, you said?
3 months with everything else, but since March with the refrigerator.
Did you know where to go to finally get relief? Because you don't have standing water anymore. But did you know where to go?
No.
No. How did you find out where to go?
When I met you.
Now, what if everybody doesn't have an advocate to tell them exactly where they need to go and what they need to do?
Exactly.
So make sure that's understood. There's no booklet a lot of times for tenants when they get in these situations for them of what to do.
There is now.
There is now. So keep in mind, and this is about for all the people who are trapped, they're under the blanket of there was nowhere to go, there was no way out. Most of them didn't know what to do. And once the court petition is filed against you, the eviction process is started. You're going through court in 30 to 45 days. So your life is going to change. And like she said, once you get it on your record, who is going to rent to you? And I just want to make one more point. I get what you're saying about there'll be somebody, keep going, keep going. You got to find that one person that's willing to invest in you. That's a lot of phone calls.
Yes.
You don't know if you're going to get that in 30 to 45 days. And then a lot of times now, that one phone call has already been burnt by somebody else they gave that chance on. Just keeping it real, because we in 2020.
But then that suggests your alternative is just sit and let it happen. And that's not acceptable either.
So
you make the phone calls.
So here you make the phone calls, And you're not just sitting there, you're fighting. But if no door opens, Miss Honeycutt, do you have transportation?
No.
What's she supposed to do? Come on with it.
She's not supposed to sit in there and let her family get sick with mold or standing water. And whatever she did, she seems to have taken care of it. She said she's not in standing water anymore, right?
That's one, and that was just up to 2 days ago. But what about the refrigerator? What about it being 28 degrees at night and there's no heat?
Once again, these are realistic situations that you must understand. To be able to go forward, you must understand a person's situation of where they're at. It's not what your idea thinks it should be or how it should be. It is what it is. When you have 4 children, you are on a fixed income, you have no transportation. You can call all day. The reality is you're stuck. The reality is she didn't know where to go. So she's going back and forth with the landlord, but he still wants his rent money every month. That is the reality of many people, period. So as we move forward with the thought and the understanding that the reality, these people are evicted. And many of them are evicted from properties that's just like Miss Honeycutt's. They are substandard, and they have went through a court proceeding, and now they have a judgment on their record that is hindering them from being able to move forward in life, period. And if we can take properties that we can prove, because that property has been documented, and so if we say, hey, so with Miss Honeycutt, if we can keep her from not going through the court process until we can get her somewhere else, that for me as a tenants' rights advocate is a win. What am I battling? Her either being homeless or her in the house. So my job is to at least start getting the stuff fixed so the water is out, done. Did they clean it up all the way? No. Can I control all that? No. I'm still working. I only been on it now for a week and a day. So I want people to understand what we talk about ideally. Let's cut that out. Let's bring it down to reality. The reality is these people are stuck and they can't get out, and we tired. This ain't the first house we done been through with a slumlord. And so we running out of options. We running out of places to even go at this point. That's the reality. And they will make you homeless. Mr. Cook.
Yes.
What are some of the stories that you have heard from people when they come to you? I'm just curious.
I've heard the gamut to there's something on the report that's not theirs to there's an eviction, either that it was, they just fell behind or because it was a slumlord, and everything in between. So I think there's a good niche for going after the slumlords. Unfortunately, that's not my area of expertise. I always get involved after the fact when there's either a collection issue, so someone is evicted or vacates, and then they say, hey, you owe us, whatever randomly assigned number we think, which is a few $1,000s, and then they put them in collections, and or they file suit and obtain a judgment, so that you have the eviction, and depending if the person gets personally served, sometimes there'll be the monetary amount that is owed after that. And where I come in is not so much the pendency and during of the litigation is after the fact. So someone says, the eviction is not going to hurt me, or the collection doesn't matter, and then they go and apply for housing and they get denied because of the recent eviction. And then I go after the companies, and they're large companies that maintain this information. So the credit bureaus, so TransUnion, Experian, Equifax are the 3 big offenders. For the rental screening companies, there's a bunch of smaller ones. And then we basically you have to show that there's some type of inaccuracy or valid dispute. And so we basically just look for ways to get the person a clean tenant screening report. And that starts with what the law mandates, send in the dispute letters. And after you send X amount of dispute letters, we need a cause of action. So basically it's a checkbox of, we need A, B, and C before we can sue the companies. And then we file suit against the companies. So let's say it's TransUnion. And, when you file suit, you get the decision maker, and they have their attorneys that they always use. And 8-9 times out of 10, as long as you set up the case properly, they're going to get the eviction or the account removed or deleted. If it's a collections account, there's a different law that regulates them because they're a collection agency. So that's 10 times easier to get something removed because it's just how the law is written. So every circumstance and every person's different. So it just kind of depends on the person's individual needs. And then, sometimes when you do write dispute letters, it's far and few between, that they do get, the person, the client writes a letter, I help them write it, and then the item gets fixed and they're able to get the housing or get their credit resolved. I would say most of the time it has to go to litigation just because they're just such large corporations. They don't really care and they outsource a lot of this. And then once it gets to that stage, it takes time. So the defense counsel, let's say for TransUnion, they want to do their investigation and they want to get paid and they want to work the file. But at the end of the day, they don't, as long as you can state a plausible cause of action, they don't really care. So they would rather just delete, remove, suppress whatever the account is and go on their merry way. Because the reality is not a lot of there's not a lot of attorneys who do what I do, but also there's not a lot of people who maybe want to follow through or want to deal with it, or it's just easier for them to look for other housing, or they don't care, or there's distrust in the legal community. Pick whatever factor you want, so they don't get called out on this as much as they should.
And you're rare. You said that you're rare. So people don't know how to find you. They don't know where to go. And that's what this forum is all about, is bringing rare people together. All y'all rare. Y'all just haven't met each other yet. I assure you, every last one of you is very rare to me. And everyone, if this was a clock, each one of you will be a different number on a clock. None of y'all sitting here is the same, I promise you. And that's the point of why we're all sitting here. I don't need y'all to be the same. I need y'all to be from different perspectives. And so with Matt Cook being able to get it removed, now I'm going to go into Miss Phoenix Business Solution, because see, she do taxes. So you're going to need this woman, because I'm sure she could tell you the difference between being a renter and now a homeowner, or somebody who can qualify for loans. Miss Dilworth?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, girl.
Yes, I was thinking about that. I understand the purpose of this meeting is to discuss credit repair and your options, and I was thinking about the young lady. I could help her more in terms of in the future. I can't help her present condition now, unfortunately, getting her credit repair. But my first thought was to try to find her a place of her own. She needs her own house, 4 children, a single mom, disabled, with a very secure income. I think you would be an excellent candidate for your own home, and your home in excellent condition from the beginning. Sound like there were some issues even before she moved in, but that's just my opinion. But to the person, I forgot who it was, who said that they do framing. There are a lot of homes in the city that are up for taxes, LRA properties, whatever. What the proper support systems to help rehab those homes and make them available for people like her, which would not take in consideration that a reporter or her critic, somebody who understands the situation, look at all the facts, and allow her to have the home ownership experience and to be more permanent and stable and to avoid homelessness altogether.
Yes.
So that was my thought, but I can't help her now, but I really do believe there are some programs out there that she can go and get her own home in excellent condition for her and her 4 kids that is much more permanent and would not take in consideration her credit.
Absolutely. And with that being said, that kicks it to Chris. Because if somebody could apply for a loan, now that they got it off the credit, hopefully this made sense of how I went around the clock of having everybody speak. Started with the person who actually had the problem, kick it up to the platform of people who's housing the problem. You know, so trying to go all the way around this to where it actually makes sense. So now it goes to Chris. So somebody actually gets this off the credit. They've went through Matt Cook. They've been successful. Now they can hire Chris. So now the money that they can now qualify for is being injected right back into the community. You understand how this goes? Because to be able to survive, we're in a Great Depression too. The first Great Depression started when the government declared a pandemic. I don't need to say nothing else, huh? So this would be the Great Depression too. With that being said, we must have money injected into our inner city economies quick. And it has to be money that wasn't here. And it has to be a lot of money. And so instead of a $1,200 check, maybe I can qualify now for a $12,000 grant or a $12,000 loan. And instead of $875 a month of rent, maybe it's $500 and I'm a homeowner. And now I can go to Carolyn and get things written off of my taxes when I buy windows and doors and, you know, get the roof fixed and do all these things. So everybody understand it, because you don't get that off of being a tenant. Okay? So now Carolyn's getting money that she didn't get because now you qualified for something. You couldn't be her client. See how that works? I wanted her to say that. She can't even do business with you. And most people can't do business with you. That's the whole point of this forum. So a lot of times when people make it seem it's so easy, no, it's not. When you have certain things on your credit, it's a wrap. You don't qualify and you are shut out of the American dream. So this is poverty in a nutshell. No matter how you walked into it, you are here. And many people are stuck. Black, blue, green, purple, gay, straight, it don't matter. Stuck. So now,
I got a question.
Go
Can I
ahead.
ask Ms. Honeycutt?
Go ahead.
Sure. Ms. Honeycutt, have you gotten estimates for the repairs you need around your place?
No.
No. What I did do is send to Raina some information about Missouri specifically, pointing out some of your rights and what you're allowed to do as a tenant in your situation. So we can forward that to you, or we can forward that to you as well, and hopefully that'll give you some help as well. But just a quick overview of what those rights are. They say you can, because a property owner is required to provide you a property that's in good condition. And if they don't, after a certain period of time, you have the right to take remedy.
Absolutely. And I definitely do my job as a tenants' rights advocate and go down what the rules are and how it should be handled and where she should go. That's how the water got out in 5 days, and she's been dealing with it for 3 months. The next step of it is to make sure that she's not taken to court. That's where I need people as an advocate. So I'm giving out the information of what and how you could be essential to Miss Honeycutt's situation. Either know someone who has a property that'd be willing to listen to her story and take her in because her money is secured. And that goes to the point of what I want to say about the people I represent right now. Many of the people I represent make decent money, or their money is secured every month. Contrary to popular belief, I do not represent bums. I don't represent everybody. I represent good people who went through something and now they're stuck. So, Mr. Chris Collins, what would it do for you and your business being in this pandemic if now people can qualify for loans and they say they want to get into community housing or they want to do something like this, how do you benefit?
Oh, it would be a great benefit because now we can engage with the community and give our youth something to do, a purpose. And that's to make these streets safe so they can go anywhere they want, anytime they want, because there ain't people out here suffering. So if those people that can get their credit fixed, afford these loans, it would give us the funding to be able to do these volunteer projects to get this stuff done.
Ding. Funding. Now, Brian, that's where we're at. GoFundMe's funding. Funding. That's where,
Okay.
yeah, funding. That's where,
Yeah.
that's what can help us. I'm down with the legal situation. I think I've been doing a pretty decent job here in Missouri fighting these slumlords all across Missouri and helping my complainants get to where they need to be. But
Yes, you
funding.
I mean, that's kind of the problem, though, isn't it? Because now everybody's GoFundMe is my birthday. My birthday's coming up. $200. I need $200 for my so it oversaturates the market. So now when you're like, hey, this person is a great person and just needs a little bit of help, everybody want to pitch in $5-10. Boom, before you know it, it's there. But nobody wants to do it anymore because they don't know that person. And they're like, well, Johnny down there was using it for his birthday, so what are you using it for? What is your situation? I don't know you from apples to oranges, so I don't care. And it's like, that's almost another cog in the machine of dehumanizing us because, you know, we're just trying to get a leg up in society, the American dream, as you say. You know, it's not afforded.
I'm so glad you just slid that in because everything is so true. Everything is so true. So we stuck again. And then the organizations that are getting the money, by the time it trickles down to you, you getting a turkey.
Well, there's another option. I think on your panel here, you have a plumber, right?
Yes.
And, you know, she may be in Miss Honeycutt might be in a situation where maybe a GoFundMe page wouldn't be the option, but she might be able to find a plumber who's got a little time on his hands and be willing to help. If, you know, in terms of her shower, or she might be able to find a heating and cooling guy that, you know, has a little time on his hands right now and is willing to help, or somebody that's, you know, on our platform that might be willing to fund getting something repaired for her and she not need a GoFundMe page. So, you know, these are just some options that I would throw out there to her too, and talk to some of the people in her community and in your community.
Well, here's the plan that we have set. I'll just throw that out there. Because everything I approach, I have a plan and a strategy. So the plan and the strategy currently is the house is substandard until it gets fixed. So although the water is down, she's still complaining about what's wrong with her property. None of that has been fixed and it has not been addressed. So therefore, the property valued at, I think, $26,000, $28,000. So she's already spent over $10,000 in rent since she's been there. So therefore, with the property being in a condemned state right now, the value of it should be what? Zero. Or less. Negative. It's negative right now until all that gets fixed. Negative. So therefore, if we get people in the right positions, either we position the property owner to, one, fix in a certain amount of time, or B, get rid of the property and sell it to her because she's already paid for it. And he owe her because we ain't even got to the part about emotional distress, smelling that for 3 months, etc., etc. See, that's the actual solution that really should be afforded to her, or give her a constructive eviction. Move her and pay for her expenses and put her somewhere else decent until the end of her contract, and then it's relinquished. That's always an option as well. So those are actual strategies of solutions. I don't reach around. I have plans. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. The house on the inside has beautiful architecture. Whoever built it did a good job. Nobody has maintained it. And ironically, I want to throw out there the property owners' names. It's called hands-free or headache-free properties. Headache-free properties. So let me do this for headache-free properties.
Sorry for
All right. So, does that sound like a plausible solution? Any of those options, were those plausible?
Yes.
That made sense? Now, Mr. Turner, I do appreciate the fact of your thoughts and how you threw your suggestions out there, but I want to put out there as well to incorporate. Anytime you go in and you send anybody to fix anything of the property, you didn't really help the tenant, you helped the property owner. That's who really got the benefit, was the property owner.
Exactly.
See, that's where I need people to understand. How you see things is going to have to be tweaked and changed a little bit to fit to this platform, because they have taught us.
How long have you been in there with that situation, Ms. Honeycutt?
Well, with the feces, it's been 3 months. He did come out and have a plumber come out and get the water down, but all the feces is still on the ground. All the clothes destroyed. It's under my washer and dryer. I haven't been able to wash our clothes because it was all feces around it, but now it's just still there. He didn't have a crew to come in and clean it up yet.
And what about the shower?
The shower, the mold is still on the wall, and then when the plumber came in to do his job, it ended up coming up through the shower floor. So all of that feces is in the stand-up shower on the floor too.
And how long has that been that way? That's also 3 months?
No. Yeah, the whole situation has been 3 months. On Tuesday, he had a plumber come out, and then the feces and everything that was left is just down there, where he hasn't contacted me or anything. I get like done, but I don't feel like me or my children should go down there and clean up that toxic feces off the floor and get up all our clothes and shoes that got destroyed.
I want to interject because I'm listening to the narrative, and since I'm actually present, the feces wasn't in the shower this whole time. That didn't happen until the plumber actually, when he drained the water, it backed it up into the shower. I just want to be clear, these people have not been not bathing for 3 months in this house, okay? So that's only been for the last couple of days that we got the water to drain down, and when they went to fix to drain the water, it backed up into their shower in the last couple of days. So they have been able to at least shower for it to go in the basement. So as we move forward with this type of conversation and topic, Miss Honeycutt is one example and a perfect model of why we do not want her evicted. Because that's what she's facing by complaining if he takes her to court. That's the bottom line.
Is Ms. Honeycutt receptive to moving to a new location? Yes. And for the lawyer, can her contract be transferred to another property, another apartment or a house? Or I think a house would be better.
I don't really deal with. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but you can't transfer or sign a contract unless all the parties agree. So she'd still have to deal with the land. I mean, I'd have to see what the lease says, but she'd still have to deal with the landlord, and that's part of the problem that people face is they want to leave, and the landlord is just obstinate, difficult for no reason. And the tenant says, I'm leaving for A, B, and C, and they either file suit to get their money or they send it to collections. And then I don't get involved with that stage, but then I see them always after the fact where, it was the landlord was a POS and the place was a dump, and that's why I left. And, I deal with it accordingly. But, I just don't know much about the type of legal work involved to go after slumlords and how to deal with that. I know the Attorney General for Missouri has limited information on their website about tenants' rights, but I know they're also far and few in between. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, you're right. What you're talking about, Carolyn, is a constructive eviction. Constructive eviction is where they take the tenant and they move them, and then they finish out the lease. I spoke about that earlier. And to my knowledge, this is the only property the property owner has. So there is no other property to actually do that with unless he goes outside and just pays for maybe a certain amount to another property owner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm concerned. The credit, and I realize that's the purpose of this meeting. Has the damage been done already? I think she needs to get ahead of that, in addition to finding her a safe place to live.
Correct, and that's exactly. It's trying to, is that yeah, that was one of the points, is stopping an eviction from happening on her record while she's going through this. That's one of the protections that I have to stand in and advocate for.
But what do you do if your lease was up in August and now I'm on month to month?
And are you already, do you currently have an eviction, or you're just trying to stay in front of the situation you're in now?
No, I do have a previous eviction.
From a same similar situation as this.
Exactly.
Like the property owner?
Yes.
So that's what the conversation, that's why we're having this. She's talking about the current to represent what she's already been through and how it's on her credit report. How this isn't our first rodeo. And when you hit the third or fourth house, you're running out of options to be able to keep moving. And when you do, you're going to run into another slum property, more than likely, anyway. This is a pattern of poverty.
That's why she needs to get out of it. She needs getting $800 a month. And I realize she has other expenses or whatever, but she needs to stop being a tenant and start being an owner.
Thank you.
But how do you start being an owner if you already have an eviction or your credit is not right yet? I guess the could come in.
There are programs. Beyond Housing, NACA. Rada might be familiar with some of the other programs.
And they said I didn't make enough income, ma'am.
And then I want to be clear. We got a lot going on that I don't think nobody's taking into account. When an eviction is filed in court, that tenant only has 30 to 45 days. Most programs, you got to be enrolled for 6 months to a year. Those are not, I mean, it sounds good, but they are not applicable solutions when you're going through it right then and there. They're just not.
Okay. Mr. Chris Smith, are you the one who create frames and help people get jobs? Are you the right person?
No, that's Chris Collins.
Oh, Chris Collins. Chris Collins, can you just get so many in-kind donations or whatever and provide a place for her that's safe for her to live? And she can pretty much come in with a little down payment and pay the monthly, because she's obviously she can pay. She has the ability to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a workable solution? I'm trying to pull something together immediately because I recognize the time constraints and everything else, the bad credit. But there is a solution. It's just a matter of people cooperating, coming together, and maybe creating a whole new program that will address this particular type of scenario.
Yes, that's exactly what we could do. But it takes unity in the community to give everyone an equal opportunity. And go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I'm sure there's other people in her condition. And I think this, Raina, this is something that you will be able to coordinate better because, you know, you're familiar with all the constraints.
We already have.
I do understand the unity. You know, we really do need to come together and make this happen. And not just for Ms. Honeycutt, but for other people who will be in this condition or situation. But I really do believe there is a solution, and we need to stop batting our head against the wall. We need to just come up with another program that doesn't have all these constraints, and it would be a little more lenient for people like her. Because I never heard that she didn't pay. Miss Honeycutt, have you ever missed your rent?
The only time I did miss my rent is when the pandemic started and I had closed the Social Security office down. And it was time for me to send in my papers. But I had got an agency to come in and help me pay that rent. So it was still paid up. It wasn't never the fact that I missed my rent. And he will, as a landlord, could tell you that. That's just like now I'm up to date up to this month.
Yeah. It sounds like you are pretty consistent. I understand the pandemic's just made us all change, but I think she's a good tenant, in my opinion, even with the credit and even with the previous issue. Disability. I don't see your disability improving unless you know something I don't know. I just think that there is something for her that we can pull together, and I understand that about the lack of unity, but some funds out there, especially during at these times with the virus and
Mm-hmm.
people being evicted. There's so much money out there. It's just a matter pulling together, and I would be willing to even try to help secure the funds. They got funds for people who have businesses. Why aren't there funds for people who are tenants?
There
So,
are. There are funds. And I want to say quickly, we have pulled together. I'm utilizing Miss Honeycutt's case as this model here today. And that's why I'm just focusing on Miss Honeycutt and letting her tell her story. She's a model because all my other cases going to be totally different. They don't have feces on their floor. It'll be something different. She's a perfect model to represent
so
what this whole thing was about. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, there you go. I think, Raina, you're on the right track. You got people like Miss Honeycutt and others, and you have the people on your panel who have skill sets. There's organizations out there with all kinds of contractors, with all kinds of disciplines. And we got property that needs to be repaired and rehab, put back on the um, tax rolls so they can start paying real estate taxes again. The city will be more than happy to help. I mentioned it before, LRA and tax sales, most of the LRA properties, they have a tendency to be in more of a disarray, but goodness, you could buy a house for $1,000. Why not? And then, of course, you need the resources. You need companies to donate supplies in some cases, or people to underwrite or sponsor. You got Habitat for Humanities. And I realize time is of the essence, but we got to kind of get her ahead of the curve. I mean, if she has not really experienced uh, that negative report yet, uh, I really do think she has time to get herself in front of it.
So with
That's
the
just my.
No, you're perfect. So with the advocacy part, yes, I will send out an email to everyone explaining how you can assist me with the advocacy part of having the realtor slash property owner want to turn over the property. When you put implied pressure, usually, and that's what happened to Rolla, they turned over the properties to the tenants. Why? The tenants basically had already bought the properties anyway through rent.
Well, how will she fix the damage? Okay, she gets the property. Where she's gonna get the money to fix it up?
Okay, so where did she get money? So now she has the property. So now we've taken out $875 a month in rent, didn't we? Didn't we just take out $875 that she's paying out of pocket? So we got a plumber over here. We already know she gets a monthly thing, so maybe they're willing to say, I'll take 175 or 200 a month to get this fixed. They're guaranteed the money, and that's the point. Once you cut out rent, you can actually do something. It's the rent
Yep.
that's killing everybody.
Yeah, yeah, the 800 is a lot a month.
And so here's another thing. Now that she's not paying rent, her debt to income ratio is going to go sky high in her favor. And that's what I mean. So if we get the evictions from the past slumlords off of her record, now her credit score has been bumped up. So we got to go back and knock on the doors of where she lived and see if they have the same problems that she had living there. If so, then we could do an inspection, go back through the records, see if anybody complained in years, because usually these cases are longevity cases. And we can prove the house is a slum. It qualifies, we remove it off the record. We send it to Mr. Cook. He starts his process. Maybe we can get a house that way. However way, we putting pressure. This makes sense?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's how you gotta start. You gotta start by applying pressure somehow in some form or fashion, because otherwise they're just gonna keep doing what they've been doing every step of the way, every day, because it works for them.
It does.
It's good for them. They're having great, but I'd like to also ask any one of these landlords, because my brother, they hit one of 4 people who was kept on a company that they fired 50 from because of the COVID. You know, they're like, we'll keep 4. He's one of the 4. They catch COVID. He's out for 2 weeks. His landlord, who he knows him, slaps an eviction notice on his door. I sent him $500. Like, here, like, keep your shit. I almost went down there and beat this dude, like, just beat him up. Like, I'm sheer principle. Like, how you doing this to somebody? You know he's going back to work in 2 weeks. Like, how do you get away with it? Furthermore, who are you going to put in there? Like, nobody has money right now for you. Like, you know, like,
college students.
People need help. Well, yeah, not where he was at, but people need help. You know, he was down in Eastern Illinois, so I've Charleston, but where he lives, it's not where the college people are. But in the same respect, people aren't banging down the door looking like, I got $1,000 a month, you know, that here, like, you know, people who actually need the help. You know, like, they just think that they can just turn over tenants like, you know, you're doing your dry cleaning.
They can.
You can't. Well, I mean, not right now, I think they're short-sighted about what the actual problems are.
Great Depression. So if I was getting ready for a Great Depression, that's what you do, right? Everybody lost their jobs. They kicked everybody out, and then they started taking all the property, and then the economy opened back up. Ain't that what happened? Oh, okay. So we're trying to stop history from repeating itself then. Oh, okay. Any thoughts out there? It makes sense to you?
Yeah, I do have one thought. As far as, I know we got lawyers and some people from credit. So, and I like the fact that you're saying to get these property owners to, you know, theoretically do the right thing, you have to put pressure on them. I'm wondering if there's some kind of legal course to pull the credit scores of the property owners and to pull their records to find out, like you said, these are usually ongoing problems.
Yeah, you just go down to the building inspector.
Ascertain some offensive power into your position rather than...
Right, if they have to answer to somebody
so to answer
outside of an individual property or individual tenant, if they have to answer to a group, whether it's an advocacy group or group of lawyers or whoever it is.
To answer your question,
yes.
So if there are reports, there's usually 2 places you can file reports, and you can look all this up. Number one, you go to your local building inspector. You give them the address. You can look it up. It's public information. The second one is the Attorney General's office. That would be your most common complaints where people go and file housing. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to tenants being under a clock. If you've ever filed for these type of places, you're going to find out it's going to take 45 days before they even respond to you. Where are you at in 45 days in the court system? You already been evicted. So let that sink in. We've already discussed what's out here is not applicable to the help that we need in such a short amount of time. And that's been the hook across the platform. So if you understand one thing, please understand it across the board. Nothing is changing. That's principle. So currently, what we do have in place is not enough. I'm going to go to this point and I'm going to turn the microphone back over. My second point. The money that is here for tenants is being given to places like Urban League, Castle, you know, the community action agencies. They take the money. They distribute the money, like Heat Up, Cool Down St. Louis. That's another one. Your money, your tax dollars, or private money is being distributed right back to the utility company in the tenant's name. The heating, a lot of times the bills are exorbitant, not because the tenant couldn't pay. It's because the property is leaking air. The doors don't fit. The roof is leaking. So no one is saying, hey, it's a property up to a standard and you just can't pay. So all this money is paying for slumlords to not fix their properties, and the utility companies keep getting paid in our name. So every time you give to Heat Up, Cool Down St. Louis, you didn't give to a person. You gave it back to Heat Up, Cool Down St. Louis. It goes back to Ameren in the person's name. So all that needs to change. and let that sink in. Who's next? Come on, somebody.
Oh, I can interject for a minute here. So, as far as a recourse for accountability for these slumlords or landlords who don't fix the property, I agree that there should be some type of legal advocacy group or an attorney that takes on the constructive eviction, forcible detainer, etc. types of cases. I do not know any off the top of my head, but I'm willing to bet that there's some type of attorneys that, even if it's a contingency or low fee basis, would take these and would defend them. But I think that would be a great resource. But it's not my wheelhouse, so this is kind of I know about these types of issues, but I haven't been active in litigation against landlords. But it's definitely something to look into to see who would handle these types of cases. As I take on the credit bureaus and credit reporting types of cases. I'm sure there's someone in Missouri who does the same, but for people who have leaky pipes and feces, etc. So I guess it's something we'll just have to investigate to see who we can find.
I love you for that. Greg Lay out of Kansas City did come down here a year or two ago and file on behalf of tenants. He did a case out in Jennings where the attorney Matthew Chase owned properties. I did the first initial filing of the foundation legal work, and he filed a top. So there are attorneys who will take cases. I'm just going to say we need to find more, and I want to read contracts prior to my people signing. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Moving on.
You need to start building like an army, and this is where it starts. It starts with one, then you bring more people in, then it's 4. How many people can we sit at the table? Because everybody gets a seat, no matter how many seats you want to put at it. I'll just keep extending that thing. We're going to sit everybody, every free person in the free world,
So you understand how Miss Honeycutt could be a model?
Oh, yeah.
So does anybody remember TEH Realty?
What was it?
Matt Cook, I heard you laugh.
Yeah, I know who they are.
So, right, we getting comments from the outside. Yeah, the TEH Realty. So that'll be another model. So if I told you there was Section 8 HUD tenants that rented TEH Realty, and some of them didn't get out, and they have judgments. But I also want to tell you that when you get a judgment on Section 8 and HUD, you lose your Section 8 and HUD. So that will hopefully give you an understanding that many people who are homeless, they lost their Section 8 over something of a slum property, and now they don't qualify anymore. So if they didn't have a drug problem before, they got one now. Just want to throw that out there. So I think we got a good idea of where we understand. If a property is condemned, by law, it's illegal to rent, period. If there's an eviction on the record, by law, that wasn't supposed to be filed, and it should not stand any longer. I will go over some of the avenues of what it takes, and they're very simple. You'll be amazed at how simple all this is. But it does take everyone to get involved and to want to be active. And so the goal is pretty much is to tell your friends, your family, your people that you know, just ask them, hey, what do you think about a condemned building? You think it's illegal or illegal? And just depending on their answer, it'll tell you whether you should engage any further. Because there's no point in having a conversation of buffoonery and silliness. These are real life people. And so if we could get cases established around a person, you actually learn about them and you establish what can happen about them. And then the next person's a little bit different because every case is different. And we all agree that these people all lived in condemned buildings, and they all have to go to Mr. Cook to get things removed off their credit and so forth and so forth. And then we all want to send it to Ms. Dilworth because now they're homeowners now and they need her services. And then we need to send them to Chris. And then you're a plumber, so we got to send them to you. So now see how everybody's getting paid now because we've injected money back into the community by solving the problem first?
With that scenario, is she still in the same place or she has a new location? I was following you, but I'm not sure. Is she? How? I'm just trying to see how Miss Honeycutt.
Same place.
She's in the same place. Okay.
Same place. So you know she doesn't have a car. You know she has money. But you know she has evictions on her record. So we kind of get, if we understand this, it's not going to be as easy as what we think it's going to be about moving her somewhere else and she just slide on in, no problems. Okay? If we get that. So I gave a few different scenarios. Constructive eviction, that's one thing. Going after the property owner, asking him to just turn it over. Not sell, turn over. Listen to my words, turn over. Because the amount of money he's going to spend to actually fix that, he might as well turn it over. If we got most landlords, and we did successfully in Rolla, turn them over, we made people homeowners. Now, I will admit, many people lost their homes. They wasn't ready to be homeowners. So I learned a lot. So that's where having people in the communities be able to help and know and understand. Not everybody is ready for these type of steps so quickly. And then we have people who are ready. They could be homeowners. So we just have to gauge who's ready for what, but the ability and the possibility has to be opened. Any thoughts?
I would also share that we ran an article recently. There was a group in Oakland, a group of mothers who were in a property and they'd all actually been evicted, and they actually moved into a property in their community, and they just refused to move out. And they actually did get their property turned over to them. They had that property sold to them. Someone else helped finance that property, and they all actually live in that property right now. You can go to maryswatch.com and find that Oakland article, and maybe that would be a model for something, for something like that elsewhere.
I'm down for that. Anybody else with some thoughts? If not, I'll go into something else just real quick. So, in the city of St. Louis, one of the things I want to talk about real quick is policy. When we talk about economic recovery, there are things that we can do just as regular, everyday people. And so I have acquired a policy, long story short, that puts tenants in condemned buildings. And so with that being said, I'm going to read just a small portion of this and go through it really quickly, and then I will open back up the floor. So in this letter, called the application letter, that was sent out from the city of St. Louis to the property owner after the tenant had moved into the property, it quotes and says to the property owner, "You have been granted 30 days to secure a certificate of inspection." I'm going to repeat. To the property owner from the city of St. Louis, you have been granted 30 days to secure a certificate of inspection. Does anybody find anything wrong with that sentence right there?
Not enough time.
Not enough time to secure? What else are your thoughts?
There's obviously something wrong with the building.
It's backwards. It means it was never inspected.
Right.
Okay, did anybody catch that? They just said it. So the city knows there's no inspection. So they told the property owner, we're going to grant you 30 days to secure an inspection. That's backwards. The tenant has already moved into the property.
Well, and then they make them inspect it. They're like, you do it. Oh, thanks for bringing that up to our attention. You go do it. Then tell us about it. No, that's not my job.
Well, how about this? If they grant the property owner 30 days to secure the inspection, is the tenant being granted 30 days to get their money back?
No.
Is the tenant granted their security deposit back in the 30 days while there's no inspection done on the property?
Nope.
No. So right there, that's a problem. Now, what if that was written?
That is a problem.
I don't know if I guess. Now, what if that policy was written in every city across the country and nobody ever read it until right here on Underground Flavors? You never heard it till here. Just what if? So I'm going to move on.
There's probably a version of it in some form or fashion in every city.
You're right.
Absolutely.
I believe it too. So the next sentence says, if the unit is occupied, the application, inspection, and issuance of the certificate of inspection must be completed within the 30 days. I want to stop, and it's a longer sentence. It says, if the unit is occupied. Anybody got a problem with that little clause right there?
They don't even know if it's occupied?
No, it's not even that. You don't know the conditions of the occupancy. I mean, you just let people stay there and it ain't been inspected, so you don't know if people living in mold, if they living in a derelict building, you just don't know. So that right there is just saying that y'all don't care to know, because that's y'all job to go out and inspect before somebody even go lay in there to make sure that they safe.
And also that one little word, if, gives them the clause to get away with it.
All right. Now, let me break it down, because I've had a lot of time and I love this feedback. So it says, if the unit is occupied. So remember when I first started, when I said the tenant had already moved into the property. So when they say, if the unit is occupied, right there, why are you playing mental mind games? The whole letter was sent out telling the property owner to apply for the inspection. What do you mean if the unit is occupied? You already know. So I'm going to read the first sentence just to prove that they know. The first sentence says, information has been provided to indicate a change in either the ownership or the tenancy of the above a referenced address.
Just tenancy, not necessarily the ownership. It did say that. It said slash.
Yeah, there's a change.
That's a tenant in there.
Well, it means change, though.
Right.
Something happened. Yeah. So they said if the unit, but they say in the first sentence, they already been notified. And that's what I'm going over this. So you can hear, as an advocate, this is what I do for 22 years. These are the games and the language that are in the policies that keep people entrapped and that must be changed. This is a one piece of paper policy. So when people are allowed to write policies that are so murky in this type of language, how can people ever get any relief? If the unit is occupied after the information has been provided to indicate.
Well, and that would be my thing is, like, what would the lawyer have to say about, like, that kind of language being used, like, that vague, you know.
Are you asking Mr. Cook?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, that's a question to you, Mr. Cook.
I'm curious as to what he thinks about the vague language of it. Like, how that would stand, where the standing would be.
Mr. Cook, that's to you.
Maybe it's
Mr. Cook.
Might be muted or something.
Are you muted, Mr. Cook? Jump in when you get unmuted, or he might not. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Mr. Cook.
Yeah, sorry, I had to step away for a second.
You're good.
Can you say that again?
Well, I was just, she'll say this sentence, and I was just curious about your language, of what you thought about the vague language that they use, like, especially as a lawyer, like, what standing they even have to be that vague, to not be so, not direct.
The city?
Yeah.
I mean, the long and short of it is they can
say whatever they want as a policy.
Yeah,
as
I mean,
there's not like it passes 5-0. All right, screw that.
There's not. Yeah, I mean there's not a lot of recourse in the.
That's terrible.
Against government, municipalities and government actors, unless there's some type of violation of your constitutional right, which usually breaks down to like a cop beatdown case or something pretty severe. So they always say that the recourse for your government is your elected official. So if the department is sending out these vague letters or not doing anything, you can petition the courts, but I don't think they're going to do anything, especially in the city. And, you could try talking to your local alderman, but they,
So
they may not care.
To vote We just gotta vote. We
How
gotta
about-
vote for our right people and be, gain the knowledge of who that right person is and what they all stand for.
How about
'cause-
rewrite this?
Yes.
Well, how do you do
Rewrite
that?
policy.
No, they're not
Policy.
gonna rewrite that.
No, you rewrite it. All you gotta do is show up to a board of alderman meeting. So now that we got to that part, who is over this letter? I was hoping we kind of got there. So I'm gonna read off who's all involved in this letter. This is where pressure. We got Lida Cruzen, Mayor Lida Cruzen. We got Department of Public Safety. We got Jimmy Edwards. We have Frank Oswald. We have the Board of Aldermen. I mean, it just goes on and on of all the people who are signed onto this. Gerald Kiefer is the one who inspected this property. He is the one who also condemned the property. So when you send the building inspector who condemned the property or who gave it an occupancy permit and then they come back and condemn the property that they passed, that's a problem. So their whole procedures is cuckoo. And as a tenant, while the property owner gets the letter giving them 30 days, the tenant is sent where? Where's the tenant sent? Oh, no, in the city of St. Louis, they are sent somewhere. Where's the tenant sent to complain to?
The state, like
Citizen Service Bureau. The Citizen Service Bureau. The Citizen Service Bureau downtown is where the tenants
I
go.
know it's downtown.
Yeah, the Citizen Service Bureau is where the tenants are told to go and complain. So let that sink in. So you're paying all these people to accept your complaint, to complain about a building that they already knew didn't have an occupancy permit. Let it all sink in. Okay? That's the buffoonery of this all. That whole office of the Citizen Service Bureau, they don't even have a form to fill out. They take a piece of paper and just write it down on chicken scratch because they're tossing it. They're tossing it. Why would you keep records of any of this? You're not. You're not. So, I mean, you get a complaint, you get all this, but guess what? By the time you get all this, you already are what? Evicted. So let all that sink in. So these are the things that can be done by bringing this to their attention, that their names are on policies that do violate our rights as tenants. We are not supposed to be allowed to move into a property that was never inspected. Anybody agree? Disagree?
I
Thoughts?
agree with that 100%.
Oh yeah.
Thoughts
But
out
it
there?
happens far too often.
Mr. Turner, your thoughts. Ms. Dilworth, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know enough about the process to change a policy. I think it's going to take a lot of work because I don't think this is something that's new. They've been doing this for years and years and years. They pretty much got it down to a science. They probably wrote the book on it. It's going to be a challenge, but I'm not going to say it never can be done or it can't be done. But I think everything is designed to create revenue for them, and they're not really operating the best interest of the tenants, in my opinion. They just want their taxes. They just want their revenues. So I think you could try it, but you're going to need some real powerful people with deep pockets to make those type of policy changes. But I do encourage you to move forward on it, but I just want you to be prepared that it's not going to be easy. I used to work for the city, and everything is about the revenue.
Mr. Turner?
Well, I guess I would echo what she just said, that it definitely wouldn't be easy to get those kinds of things changed through the city, but it's maybe worth an effort to talk to some people and see what you can get done on that front.
If we had $100 million, then we could walk right up in there. They'd be like, sure, you don't want that if in there? Absolutely, I got you right here, buddy. We'll scratch that out.
You know what I think
Here's your
would be
piece of paper
effective?
back.
The only people who know about this is the people
Get
who's
outta
heard this show. That's it. But I bet you if your friends
They
knew,
don't want them to know.
and your friends knew,
don't want
and your
anybody.
friends knew, and it was drummed into their ear of a policy that can be changed, and they actually showed up and knew this existed, I bet you it'd change. I bet you it changed 100%.
Well, we gotta start that drum beat, boom, 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 constantly till we got, a marching herd with us behind us. You can't just, you start with one, you get 1 gets 3, 3 gets 9, 9 gets 18. You just gotta keep pulling that rope.
I mean, and it's just that simple. Now, Mr. Jamal Ingram, come on up to that microphone. I want to ask you a question. I'm putting you on blast right now for the whole panel, baby.
No such thing.
You live near to a historic house.
I should live on the property.
And you know I always talk about Shelley versus Kramer. Can you give the audience a little thought to why I think Shelley versus Kramer is such a twisted victory?
I mean, because they still had to go through a bunch of BS to even stay there. Even after obtaining the property the way they did, it really wasn't a victory, more or less. And even now, it kind of show. Because I've been there on that property for over 20-some odd years, and I can actually say the ratio of who comes to see and learn about that is very disturbing. Being that I've been in that neighborhood, I know people that stay on that block that didn't even know that was a historical house. And they walk past it every day. Had no idea. I'm like, what y'all thought it was a gravestone or something? What y'all thought that was sitting there? So, yeah.
Does everybody know about Shelley versus Kramer? And can someone give a background if you don't?
Shelley versus Kramer, from my understanding and my readings, is that that neighborhood used to be all white, and there was a time that we could not go past the Jefferson line. It was all white. From that point all the way out to the county, we wasn't allowed. So they was like the first to be offered to even move or rent, or was it to buy?
They bought the house.
Bought
and what
the
did they have
house.
to do to buy the house? It was a historic court case. They had to go through 4 courts.
Yeah, it made it all the way up to the Supreme. I mean, after being, I mean, I know the backlash of it. Like, for as the legal process, I know it was like drawn out for like hellas, but just the harassment that they endured, even after they won, they still went through a lot. Just by making that victory so far, to us it's a victory, but they really, I mean, they went through hell to obtain it.
They did. So to summarize the hell of what he's talking about, the Shelleys versus Kramer, real quick, black family moved or wanted to buy a house on Labadee. They lost at the Missouri State Court. They lost at the Missouri Appellate Court. They lost at the Missouri Supreme Court. The Shelleys had to go and win all the way to the U.S. Federal Court. So let that sink in when they talk about how we lose by design. So that means either the 3 lower courts were all idiots and only the U.S. Federal Court had the omniscient power or knowledge of law, or it was literally designed that we just keep losing. Because most black people do not have that type of money or legal backing prowess to even make it to the appellate level, let alone the Supreme Court level. And the federal level is just outrageous to even consider.
Right.
So it's a twisted victory that we celebrate Shelley versus Kramer the way that we do, considering they had to lose 3 times to finally be victorious on the 4th. If we understand that, that means our whole judicial system is cuckoo from the beginning. Because you shouldn't lose the first 3 to win to the 4th. That makes no sense at all. So that's why I call it our twisted victory. And he's right. They do bus loads and they celebrate this house. So people are getting paid. But if you look at the tenants in this historic house, oh, honey, that thing needs some money. It needs some money put into it. So the people are always capitalizing.
Oh, they get it.
Who gets it?
We don't know who get it. As far as I know, it's something to deal with the Historic Society. Our property sits right next door, so we found out that our property basically is, they can't do a lot of changes, they can't do a lot of upgrading to that property, and the people that stay there is in their 90s. They don't have central air, they have window units, they have old, what is it called, radiators, like, everything in there is old. Like, they definitely stuck on, oh, it's historic, we're gonna keep it historic, but y'all not looking at, I'm saying, those elder people that's in there, and they get work done on it month after month, you see different plumbers going over there, heating and cooling. And it's like, I get tuck pointed every year. You know for a fact because they get woke up bad. Every year is somebody out there fixing on that property. And it's like,
So that's what's in the city of St. Louis. You know, a lot of people don't know about it, but that's what they had to go through. So how many people can go through 3 courts and lose and still got enough money to make it to the 4th? Out of 10 people, black or white. So when you understand that we tout that victory, and you can look up Shelley versus Kramer, Shelley versus Kramer, Kraemer. If you look it up, you will see that every so often the Realtor Association and local leaders bring that house up and applaud it.
or just look up the Shelley House.
Oh yeah,
It
just
ain't
look up
all
the Shelley
come up.
house.
Yeah.
So we Mr. Turner has left us, I do believe, or he has told us he's had a great meeting. All right. And so with
Yeah,
that,
had to run, but I didn't want to disturb you guys while you were talking. But I appreciate the time today, guys. I wish everybody the best and the best this holiday season. And thanks again for having me on today, Raina.
absolutely, I could not. Anything you want to tell everybody, or tell everybody where they can find Mary's Watch, and as you go
Sure.
out.
Maryswatch.com is the website. It's MARYSWATCH. It's absolutely a place for you guys to get together and kind of create a crowd for just these kinds of purposes to start to create change in your own communities. It's a housing platform, so there are housing tools behind the platform as well that'll help you guys document a lot of this information that you guys are coming across so that you can change your situations. So by all means, message me there at maryswatch.com. I just left my username there, BT_VY1. And I look forward to talking to you guys again. All right.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to end this session pretty early unless some music be played, because we have an artist here that brought his guitar in. Is there anything else? Anybody else on the panel want to say anything? Mr. Cook, tell people how they can get a hold of you. Or Miss Dilworth?
Oh, Phoenix Business Solutions. We do have a couple of offices, one in Alton, one in St. Louis, downtown T-Rex. The one in Alton is always open even during the virus. In terms of, I referred to earlier, tax preparation, you need to do Schedule E for properties. I can help you with your Schedule E's on your tax return. The most important thing is being a homeowner, you do have certain write-offs that you can take advantage of to minimize your tax bill. Our telephone number is 636-244-7961. And again, we're located in Alton, 200 West 3rd Street, downtown Alton, zip code 62002. And I'll be glad to give you a free consultation for attending this meeting. You can call the number to make your appointment. And my name is Carolyn Dilworth.
Beautiful woman, inside and out. Mr. Matt Cook, you have anything you want to give your information?
Yeah, if you just, I guess the easiest way is just to Google cooklawyerllc.com. That's my website. Or I'm sure if you type in St. Louis credit repair lawyer or something to that effect, my firm's website will pop up, and then it's got my email and phone number to contact me.
I thank you for being a part of this. I really thank you for bringing up the fact about the default judgment, about how a tenant can sit there and fight and still be taken to court.
Yeah, I mean, I think the important thing that I want to convey is that there's hope out there, and there's remedies, and there's attorneys, and there's people who care. So just because you feel a situation is hopeless or you've been taken advantage of doesn't mean you don't have a recourse. And a lot of times when an attorney gets involved and looks at a case, there's something there, and they're able to get the results that the client wants. And every case I take, and I have friends that do different facets of law, I'll either do it pro bono or contingent. So it's not like they have to pay an arm and a leg or pay anything. It's just I think if someone has the time and energy and the diligence to pursue let's say they want to get an eviction off the report, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, or so they say. So it's just a matter if someone wants to get something done and get results, then I think they're going to be successful in getting them.
And I thank you for being a part of this, because yes, we definitely need you on the outskirts, because without getting this off of our records, and I'm about to send you my paperwork. You know, my case has been reviewed. I got something on my credit report or something I wasn't even there.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And so when you have something like that on your record that's affecting you, and literally, Mr. Chad Vernon, you know, we'll be discussing that. That's the lawyer who's handling the case on the opposing counsel. You know, it ruins you. It truly ruins you to have your money seized over something, particularly that you didn't do, on court judgment that is complete lie, and everybody refused to acknowledge the truth. So I stand with people out here who are actually trying, and then with the pandemic, you already are going through something. Now jobs are scarce. Absolutely, I'm screaming as loud as I can about why remedies need to be made available that are not here currently. So I definitely appreciate you so much. And yes, if you have attorneys that want to get involved, I mean, the paperwork is done. They can look right up on CaseNet, and I can prove these houses were condemned when these, court petitions were filed against the tenants seeking rent. So it's pretty easy, slam dunk.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of finding the types of attorneys who do those types of cases. But it's, you know, I know about the laws. I just don't know any attorneys. I'm sure there are, but I don't know any who practice there. But, you know, I'm sure a little digging, we could find somebody.
Yeah, we're going to definitely have to dig. So I thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Noah, and he can bless us with his music.
Yeah, Dead Man's Dog a little bit, play something on here. I sent you a bunch of music, and you kind of said one that you liked, and so I will play that one for you.
Go for it.
And I won't swear for you, baby. Well, I got one hand in my pocket, one just digging deep down in my shoe. Well, I got one hand in my pocket and one just keeps on turning that spoon. Well, I get in all kinds of trouble, and you know I don't have a clue. Well, I'm trying to do all this right, but I keep doing it wrong. Everybody's showing me the direction, but I seem to catch on. Well, I know I can't catch a clue, but I'm gonna keep on stirring it for you. You just got to go, you got to go, you got to go, you got to get out of here. You know that foregone conclusion delusion, it's just not aware. Somebody else just get me out of here. I don't give no funk about you loving no one else. Come on, baby. You know, it's just the same old delusion. I come to this conclusion by myself. Well, I just get in all types of trouble, and I'm sure you know it's on my chest. You just got to go, you got to go, you got to go, you got to get hope in here. Yeah, I said you got to go, you got to go, you got to go. That foregone conclusion, making all you good people scared. Woo! Making you good people scared. like that, baby.
What was the name of that?
That's called Foregone Conclusion Blues. Thank you, baby. Dead Man's Dog. I just made everything for it very recently, so it's all pretty brand new. You can go check it out on all them good socials. We're going to have a new album coming out this year and putting it on all the good things. CD Baby, albums, Apple Music, all that stuff. It doesn't matter. You'll see it around. Stick around, stay tuned. We're always spreading the good stuff, the good hope, the good foot with the good word.
I mean, I know you got another one in you.
Yeah,
Come on now.
I play funk for the people, baby. This
Funk
is
for
what
the
I do.
people. You done came all the way from Illinois. Play that thing. Play that thing.
That's right. That's
Play
right.
that thing. I definitely
All
would not have
right.
you come all the way down here and not feature you playing on this show. Come on.
All right. Well, let me tune it actually, because I couldn't tune it before. Sorry.
It's all good.
Baby, I know I got one off. It's just one of those, you know what I'm saying?
Chris Collins, how do people get a hold of you while he's tuning over there?
hopeforhousing.org. Hope, capital letters, housing our people everywhere on Facebook. And please reach out. Let us know what you got going on. I want to make sure that everybody understands if you don't have a home or if you have a home, we need to implement solutions in every community with a positive outlook so that people realize we are all equal. It doesn't matter where we are starting from. We're not 200 years ago whenever everybody got to come and stake their land and say it's mine. Well, it's time for us to do that again and give it to our children because they are the future. And that's what this is about. This is for the children and it belongs to them. So hopeforhousing.org. And you can use the number 4 or the FOR. It doesn't matter. Thank you.
Good stuff. It's called Artemis. Well, I remember the better days long. We should have had a line in the bed, no will to leave this sweet resting. I never ever leave on my hair. I remember my bed and day long, better ways instead. Woo, 'cause it's so easy when you're working like this. The better day long we should have had a line in the bed, no will to leave this sweet resting, never ever leaving my hair. Now remember no better way long, better ways instead. Woo, 'cause it's so easy when you're working like this, when you're working like this, when you're working like this. Working like this, watching paint trails off the ceiling, stop with this staring, always thinking reality. My neck is sold. Is this what I keep on begging for? Is this what I keep on needing for? Is this what I keep on wanting for? Needed for. Well, suspicion cures uncomfortable brainwash cultures. I remember living in a loss. Gotta be a better day. I don't mind listen, bliss, Lord, I'm living in a better way. And I can't sit down and think about my sweet little heart to kiss.
like this, when you're working 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 like this.
Woo!
All right, baby. Got love. I appreciate it, baby.
Veins popping in the neck. I mean, you done turned a few different colors, and
Woo!
I mean,
Gotta get on up, baby. If you want to get down, you gotta get on up.
I see. What inspired you?
What inspires me is just honestly, just, you know, I just want to give back to people, to give them, like, you know, no matter how beat down you feel, there's like, that's why I write music. That sometimes, you know, like my wife goes like, that's about me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not about that. It's about everybody collectively has gone through something similar in some form or fashion, and it's not the end of the world. It's not what's going to be tomorrow if we can change how we think, you know, like how you guys are always saying. It's about how we mentally just always connect with ourselves. We have to have a better thought process, mindset, more positive, you know.
And you're writing music for the movement. I mean, you want it to be shared on this platform.
Yes.
And I believe there's music for everybody. Everybody, there's genres, there's different people. Everybody, you know, needs music to get them through life. I appreciate anyone who has a talent and gift. As long as I can understand your words and I can move my head, we good.
Well, I love playing the bass, so hopefully I can bring some more funk down.
I think I heard a giggle from Mr. Cook. Are you enjoying Mr. Cook?
Yeah, I always like listening to a good tune.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, yes, Noah has brought in some music for us, and we have some other artists that has actually made music for this platform. I mean, people have really gotten involved in this. Like, this has been 4 years in the making being in St. Louis for me, and it's finally starting to take shape and form. Like, it's amazing. You got time for one more song?
Sure. All right. Oh, baby. I'm trying to think of one that I really like. My buddy would get mad about this, but I don't care. Well, I keep on smiling for me, keep on smiling from ear to cheek. I keep on smiling, don't cost me no money, smiling is free. Lord, that's for me. Well, right about that time my day is done. 15 hours, 75, gone a week. I lay my head down and I cry. About that time I get on home, put my ass down on that throne, get that cold beer, the only thing, baby, I own. What's good with me? Well, I don't care how much money you got, baby, you can never pay me. I keep on smiling, that's for me. I keep on smiling, my ear to my cheek. I keep on smiling, don't cost me no money. Lord, that good smiling's free. That's for me. Smiling my ear to my cheek. I keep on smiling, don't cost me nothing. Lord, don't cost me no money. Smiling, baby. Thank you very much. I am absolutely through the moon and grateful for the opportunity and very humbled to be here. So I really appreciate everybody.
But it's all good.
It is the news.
That is the new news. Oh, it keeps going. Oh. You can't show me buttons, I swear. So I don't touch this. I do not touch it.
Hell yeah.
I thank you. How was the ride down here from Illinois?
It was great. I mean, shoot, it's I love being on the road. I love traveling. Me and the wife one time put in 36 straight from Mesa, Arizona, all the way back to Chicago. So it was that was exhilarating. So as long as it's not that ever, I can drive. I'll be in a car for as long as you want me to be. As long as it's not 36 straight again without being able to move.
And the fact that you're in Illinois, so that connects a different state to us. And we have other people in different states that want to be a part of this.
And I mean, you had the guy from California, and then you got Chris in Bloomington. I got some connections with people up in the city in Chicago. The other guy, Mr. Turner, I think it was, said he was from Chicago as well. And then you're down here in St. Louis. It's just connection after connection. We need to start putting in all these factors together on the same piece of paper that we're all reading from the same line page. And like how we were alluding to earlier, the whole government, every state is written differently, but with the same, with the same underlying meaning. It's just different verbiage, and so we need to not be so much like that, more cohesive together.
We're going to have to.
One page. Oh, I know what step we're on. Look at it, because it says right here, step 3, step 2, page 4.
Thank you, because it's not hard. It
No.
is really not hard. And if people choose to want to work together, I mean, it will come as it is. I'm very grateful for everybody who took the time today to come together, because it was. I think it took a little time for people to register, but that's what we did. We did come together and discuss an actual model. We did agree. And people will, as it goes on, when you get to the 4th or 5th model, I mean, obviously a lot of suggestions, you'll understand that some suggestions are better than others. Or they're more, plausible.
And we really had just everybody, it was nice. It was all diverse. We're all walks of life from all different places, and it really is a conglomerate of people being brought together constantly. So I really appreciate it.
Mr. Cook, your thoughts before we end the show?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And I think there was a lot of great ideas that were talked about, and let's see if we can expand upon it and go from there.
Oh, yeah, I'm relentless. So, yeah, Miss Honeycutt, I mean, as we understand, she needs a solution. And so eventually, yeah, we're going to try. I mean, once he files something, I mean, that just takes it to the next bracket. And I don't get the opportunity to be like, halt, I mean, once they do, they do. So we're I'm going to make sure we get all our ducks in a row. But, I mean, when they start a procedure, we're stuck.
Right.
So, yeah, trying to keep this woman, she already got some on her record, so trying to keep her from having even more on her record.
Yeah, and I definitely think she has options. It's just probably will take a little bit of time, and, hopefully this time next year she's in a better situation, but see if we can help her out to get the ball moving.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hope too, because breathing that in right now, she's got the heat on. Like, it's a lot better than what it was, but it's still raunchy in there.
Right. Yeah. Sounds like a terrible situation now.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's, so for people living like that, do you want to be homeless or will you take a smell? Because that's really what our options are right now. So people don't get that, it could be that final. Sometimes the smell is a lot more, tolerable than being actually homeless.
Yeah.
And that's sad. That's what our options are sometimes in reality.
Well, it's half a roof, but it's still half a roof is better than no roof almost. And it's like, she doesn't want to take her 4 kids out underneath a bridge. Like, who would want that? And who would honestly be like, yeah, go do it? Like, like there would be okay consciously with that. Like, that doesn't make sense to me,
Well, people will root for it. Well, I can't believe you're living there. Your kids shouldn't be there.
But then they won't do anything.
Exactly. That's why I say it's easy to talk
Words
that
are
ideal.
real dry. Words are real dry sometimes.
So we are out of here on Underground Flavors with attorney Matt Cook. We are very excited and grateful for everyone who drove down. Mr. Chris Collins, Mr. Noah. I cannot think your last name. Don't beat me.
Well, my name's Eric Planner, but I'll take Noah 1 for real.
Noah 1.
Anonymity is great.
I love you for that, and I accept that. So we are out of here. Thank you to everyone who tuned in on Underground Flavors. And I am going to play Slicktown Records, No Retreat, No Surrender as my final song.
RockPro.com. Never give up. Not me.
Keep on going, you just got